People on the left are not violent people. But just because we are not violent does not mean violence will not be committed by us. There is a difference between being violent people and people being driven to violence. Yes, we may be very, very tolerant, but tolerance of intolerance is not okay and not an answer. Violence may not be the best answer, but sometimes it is the only answer. When the right has committed crimes against humanity and has committed violence towards us and has killed us and has gone so far that they have decided to become Nazis. Not like Nazis, they are Nazis. Once you compare, no, they are Nazis. A murderer is a murderer. A duck is a duck. Based on what they have put into their policies. When the policies come directly from Nazi Germany, when the words they're speaking are directly in Hitler's notebooks, when everything follows the same exact line, you are not like Nazis, you are Nazis. When you have a group calling themselves conservatives, when the line R for Nazis they were conservatives. They were Christian nationalists. They were Protestants claiming to go by the Bible when they were monsters going against the teachings of Jesus. The murder of people is never the teachings of Jesus. When they are committing crimes against immigrants, that is the opposite of what Jesus taught. They are monsters that have destroyed America and everything America stood for. I fight for what is the soul of America. All the things they say are the things they are going against. All the things they are doing, they are committing crimes against our country and against our people. They're against you and me. White, black, it doesn't matter. Diversity is actually good for people, any species. We are destroying our planet. We are destroying ourselves, and we are destroying the life that God gave us in accepting conservatives as anything other than monsters. The right is wrong in every way. We must have compassion for people. But we must understand that we have to follow justice and law. And the right has committed crimes against humanity. As was established during the trial of Adolf Eichmann, that was based on a treaty signed during the time of Queen Elizabeth I. And when Eichmann was arrested in Argentina and tried in Israel for crimes committed in Germany, it was deemed still valid and globally valid. That treaty and other treaties with the countries that originally signed that treaty, plus the countries that they made into their groups, I will accept them as all the countries that were colonies are all subject to the treaty of Queen Elizabeth I that declares piracy globally illegal. There is no country, nowhere in the world, that is totally free from the law. No matter where you go in the world, no matter where you are arrested, no matter where the crime is committed, the law is valid. So conservative extremists, whether they be Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist, Hindu, no matter what religion or culture, or atheist, extremists who try to conserve and destroy anything that goes outside of conservative ideals have committed crimes against humanity as a whole and are guilty of piracy, which under the law, the treaty, the prescribed punishment as required by the law is the same one required for the treason they committed to America, the crimes that the conservative, right-wing, neo-Nazi, Nazis, whatever they want to be called, the Republicans, the crimes they committed are treason under our law, and they both have the same punishment by law. Hung by the neck until dead, as is written in the law. It was a law that was established during the reign of Queen Elizabeth I in a treaty with almost all of Europe. Many countries from Spain and Portugal and all the countries that have had colonies throughout the world, they signed that treaty, and other treaties signed make it valid, hung by the neck until dead for any pirates. That actually is the law. No one is above the law. Hitler was not above the law. No one in his government was above the law. And because of that, because no one was above the law, they must do the right thing. They must work for what is necessary. It is time to try the criminals that call themselves Republicans. And as a Republican, knowing that this is criminal actions, there's no way you don't know. We have told you 100,000 times. There is no way to get out of it. You are all to be tried as Nazis. People tried to say they didn't know. It wasn't me actually doing any of the crimes. One Nazi is guilty of the crimes of all Nazis. And the sheer fact that here in America they are doing the exact same thing. They are guilty for even the Holocaust. They should be tried for all crimes. From the Holocaust to the crimes that were admitted by the Republicans that stole the election from Carter, because that was made public earlier in a couple years ago, that Reagan committed crimes to get elected. He illegally, which we know Donald Trump has done as well, but it is illegal for you to negotiate with terrorists when you are running for an election. We know he has negotiated with enemies of the state. And he is the reason that the people in Israel that were being held by Hamas were being held longer. He was the one, because Joe Biden negotiated their release. Israel and Donald Trump were the reason they were still in holding. You can't give them credit for their release when they were being held longer because of them. Crimes are crimes. Every Republican, because it is an organization, because they are associated, because many of them are the same people from the time of Reagan and Nixon and the crimes they committed, every Republican is guilty of every crime the Republican Party, as same as the Nazis. The same as the Nazis. It is the same as the Nazis. And people are not being found, that means they are dead. Anybody who has not been found must be shown to be alive and safe by Donald Trump, or else they are declared dead, and their deaths are on the hands of all Republicans. If you don't produce every single person safe and sound immediately, the Republicans all will be charged. Everyone, every state government, every member of the federal government, who is a Republican. And we will look into the Democrats as well to make sure any Republicans pretending to be Democrats are accounted for. Any infiltrators will be found and put in jail or executed, depending on their position of accountability. What they did. We must follow the law. We must be law and order. We cannot be lenient, or else it happens again. We were too lenient, letting too many Nazis go. And what we got from it was where we are. It is time to hold to account the Nazis here in America. The ideals go when we make it okay and we let them free. Life imprisonment must be the minimum punishment. And if any children involved must be taken and educated specifically to the crimes their parents and other relatives have committed. This must be held. We promised never again, and here we are. The same crimes are being committed. Anti-trans, whether they died in a camp or by their own hands, their deaths are criminal actions. Even if it is by their own hands, you committed murder against LGBTQ members, as same as the Nazis. You are a Nazi. You spoke like a Nazi. You better take the punishment the way the Nazis did. They were hung at the gallows. Justice was served, and justice must be served again. It is time for justice. We must do what is necessary. God in the Bible executed criminals. He told his people to execute the criminals. It is our job to execute criminals. But what is crime? Starving women and children and men, starving humans, that is a crime. That is a crime against humanity. Anyone who's wealthy enough, like Elon Musk, he has enough money to end world hunger and end every person who has no water to drink. He can drill wells. He's got enough money. If he doesn't do all of it, if the U.S. government doesn't do it, then they have committed crimes against humanity. Money should be no option. We spend more money on criminals than we spend on justice. And we should take all the money from the Republican criminals, the rich, the same way We take it from drug dealers on the streets. The police confiscate anything a criminal has, or even just a citizen. The police are a larger piracy organization than even any of them. They are acting like Nazis. More Nazis. The police are Nazis. Yes, these are all facts. These are all things that are the same. And if something is the same, guess what? They are both guilty of the same things when they do the same things. A crime, whether it was committed by Adolf Hitler or Donald Trump, is the same crime and should be charged the same. Just because you didn't get the blood directly on your hands does not mean it is not on your hands. Hitler is where he belongs, in a grave. Eichmann is where he belongs, in a grave. Time for justice. We must have trials the same as the Nuremberg trials. We must have Nuremberg trials here in the U.S. for all the Nazis we have here in the U.S. The KKK can be thrown in with them because we know the crimes the KKK committed. And as KKK members, they are all guilty of the crimes of any members, especially since it's so well known. Even the ones that we know they're still alive, many of the people who killed Emmett Till and all these people. So all the racist crimes they committed, hanging people, because we know that many of them are still alive. And it makes it perpetuity. The KKK must be disbanded, or the people found to be members of the KKK or the Republicans, either one. Both of them must be disbanded immediately, and the individual members must, and the Sons of the South and all those, they all must be found as Nazis and as pirates. All these organizations. It's the same as RICO. Here in the U.S., we have RICO. But piracy is the same, under the same laws, same principles. Time to take out criminals. Law and order must be upheld immediately.